Welcome to the Columbus Area United Way Connecting Community podcast. This is where we interview local nonprofit leaders and explore how we can collaborate to have a thriving community. Welcome to episode 2 of Connecting Community. I am here with a special guest today, Lia Grant with the Center for Survivors. So, Lia, it is so good to see you today, and we match.
Yes, thank you. Thank
you got my memo.
Me. I did, yes. I could feel it.
Good.
Do something neutral.
So we're here, and really the reason for this is really to bring awareness to our community about nonprofits and the work that nonprofits do in our community and serving our community members. So can you tell us a little bit about the Center for Survivors and what your role is and what that all entails?
Okay. Well, I do like saying right now that I've been there 5 years. I just celebrated my 5-year anniversary. So 5 years ago, you were showing me the ropes.
It's been 5 years?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I know. So,
time flies.
Yes, it does. But I'm very happy to be there. I'm the executive director and just, that making sure things keep going, providing the oversight, writing the grants, ensuring we have funding to help all of those people that we need to help.
So when audience members might be tuning in, what are the services provided by the center?
So we really, I'm always thinking about the long list in my head, but we serve, it depends on what people are comfortable with, but some people use the word victim, some people use the word survivor, so it's really kind of what you want to say, but victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, human trafficking, stalking, and dating violence are our primary focus areas with the scope that we serve. And we're really trying to empower, we're trying to bring safety to our clients, help them through an impossible time. And that could be emergency shelter, that could be financial assistance to get back on your feet, that could be help with relocating to a safer place.
So those are subjects that oftentimes people don't want to talk about or don't necessarily want to admit, but and having served in that capacity as well, can you tell me what you feel like might be a misconception or a myth in regards to victimization or even, serving clients who are survivors of domestic violence, dating violence, or sexual assault?
I think one thing that stands out a lot and that I still kind of continue to hear that people are surprised by, that happens to men too. It's not just women. Violence does not discriminate. You are not dumb if you are a victim of violence. It really can happen to anyone in all walks of life. I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions or myths. And really the amount of victim blaming that just has been interwoven in society, how a lot of people will say, why didn't she just leave? And instead we should be saying, well, why did he or she abuse? We're always questioning the motives of someone staying when they're not doing anything wrong.
Right. Yeah, and I think you say that because I think that when I came into knowing and understanding the services provided by the center and then working there myself, like I felt like, I tell people, it was almost like the Wizard of Oz and the curtain was like pulled back, because I had been blessed that I had worked in areas of nonprofit where it wasn't that direct services prior to coming to the center. And then when I came into the center, I was born and raised in a very supportive family. There was definitely questionable relationships amongst my friends throughout high school and college, but me, myself, per se, never had that experience, so those shape our thoughts. And so it was kind of like Oz, the curtain was revealed in regards to, wow, you really understood for someone that is going through that as the victim or the survivor, that there's so many barriers and obstacles facing them. And you spoke to them to some of that in regards to victim blaming, but what are some of those other barriers that you see?
I think, and this is something that we've been kind of talking a lot about as staff too, is just a lot of it comes down to your own personal self-worth. How you are feeling about yourself is that can be a really big barrier into feeling like, how am I going to get out of this situation? Or do I even have any options? And so Financial barriers are huge. A lot of times victims are isolated by their abuser, and that can be isolated, physically by location, which is very, I mean, it's especially more common here in rural areas. That can be a lot
Mhm.
more dangerous, but isolating your victim and then also not letting them have any access to the finances. So then how could someone,
Mhm.
because you need money to get somewhere.
Mhm.
I think that's really a big barrier. Hmm.
So, working in this field and based on your expertise and
Hmm.
knowledge, what do you feel are aspects that are challenges for the center moving forward and to be able to continue to serve clients and victims?
There's a couple of things, and so we're heavily funded with grant dollars, which is, I'm so grateful that we have that funding. But a lot of that funding is geared towards the response to the crisis. It's not about the prevention, where there are prevention dollars. And I really want to continue to build on prevention efforts because I think that's how we're going to really make a difference. Responding to the crisis is still essential, but being able to have more freedom and funding for prevention work. And then um, really thinking about transitional housing, the need for that in our community. We provide shelter, but it's just short term, and you really can't turn things around in a few weeks or
Mhm.
get things figured out. It takes time, and we have a great community, but we're kind of limited with housing right now, as I think probably a lot of places are.
Right. So, tell me, what does prevention look like
Well,
then?
we have one of my favorite things, and if I'm thinking about kind of what motivates me in
Mhm.
this is if we're able to plant the seed of that self-worth or what a healthy relationship should look like, the sooner the better. So working with our youth, we have a building healthy relationships curriculum. It's evidence-based curriculum that we follow, and we are in high schools in our service area, our 6 county service area. So that's teaching students what or our youth what a healthy relationship should look like and
Mhm.
what domestic violence really looks like, what dating violence really looks like. I think that was one of the things that I learned when I first started was how much I just put up with that I thought was normal when I was growing up. But really, that was super unhealthy. So if we can get that seed planted or that message sooner, I think that's a big piece.
That is a
Hmm.
huge piece. And another piece of that is also Revolution
Yes.
and the work that they do for audience
Hmm.
members that might be tuning in. What is Revolution?
Revolution is really an amazing youth volunteer program. And so with the 3 high schools here in Columbus,
Mhm.
youth are selected. There's a process. You have
Mhm.
to apply or be nominated to join. But these students become um, positive bystanders and advocates for their peers, really. They
Mhm.
learn how to respond and how to refer students to a place like the center to get the help that they need, help identify what's healthy, what's not healthy. And so they're doing this within their schools, within their peers, but they also have a theater group, which is kind of my favorite thing. They put on a theater presentation that depicts examples of those relationships in a really realistic way that kids can identify with, like drinking at a party. I mean, I'm not trying to say drink at a party, of course, but
No, no.
um, but I think making it realistic, and that's
Right.
that's the connection, and that's what really spoke to me, seeing that too, and helping me identify, oh, what I experienced was not okay.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah, I've seen a few different presentations and been a part of that, and I think you're right.
Hmm.
It's the reality, the persona of this can happen.
Hmm.
It's again going back to it's not promoting drinking, but
Hmm.
the reality is there's going to be a group or a sector, especially around sexual assault, that
Hmm.
typically, right. Alcohol is the
Hmm.
number one used tool for a person, to be able to kind of lessen their victim,
Hmm.
to get them in a state where they cannot make a conscious decision
Hmm.
and give actual consent.
Hmm.
So I think that's good to, put that in front of youth because then they can see that and they also see, hey, oh, that happened to my friend.
Hmm.
And then what do I need to do from
Right.
there?
And it's helpful, a peer would feel more comfortable talking to one of
Mhm.
their peers. high school students aren't going to drive around trying to seek services for
Mhm.
themselves the same way an adult would.
Mhm.
So just having that connection and knowing, where do I go? Who do I reach out to?
Right. And so if they're able to, if they know a revolution
Mhm.
member, then more likely it's that grassroots
Yeah.
effort, which I love.
Mhm.
That's still a part, I think, of the center was started on the initiative of grassroots movement. It
Mhm.
continues to operate on the initiative of a grassroots movement, with the prevention and
Mhm.
everything that you do in those elements. So when you're looking at the center and the impact it makes for our community
Mhm.
members, can you speak to that? What impact does the center provide?
So we've been averaging close to 500, serving 500 unduplicated clients each year.
Wow.
And that's to me always so eye opening. Until I
Mhm,
was in this work, I didn't realize we had an issue
mhm,
because people aren't talking about it. And being the only service provider that is specific to domestic violence and sexual assault in our community, I think that's where we're really filling that niche, and being able to offer that.
So I know the center does so many different things
Hmm.
from just, one, providing the direct services as
Hmm.
well as the prevention aspects. What about volunteer engagement?
Oh.
What
Hmm.
place does volunteers have at the center and what does that
Hmm.
look like?
We are so lucky to have amazing volunteers, and I love getting to know them, and I feel like they just bring a light when they come to the office. So it could look like some office work. We have some volunteers that help with answering the phones during the day. We don't have anyone that's really providing direct services. We need to go through training and stuff like that. But so just helping out with the office, helping organize client resources, helping get food for clients, getting groceries, helping with events if it's a fundraising event, if it's a play day in the park, just being out and visible in the community.
So if there's a listener out
Hmm.
there and watching this who might be going through something,
Hmm.
such as domestic violence or sexual assault or even a dating violence, what
Hmm.
would you tell that person?
We believe you. I think that's the biggest thing I want, even if you're just telling your friend, that's where it starts. We need to believe people and we need to meet them where they're at. And I also think we get it. We are here. The average statistic is maybe 7 to 9 times, 7 to 9 attempts before you're actually ready to leave that
Mhm.
situation. So I think I don't want anyone to feel that, what if they came and worked with us and decided at that time they wanted to go back home? We get it. That's okay. We can still help you even if you're at still in your situation.
Mhm.
If you're not ready to leave, we still have a lot of things that we can help with. Therapy vouchers, just trying to start that healing process wherever you are,
Mhm.
and that we get it. Just please come.
Mhm. I think
Mhm.
that's important. I think the message, like you said, is that you understand,
Mhm.
that there's aspects of this um, that are deep and they're hard and they're,
Mhm.
complicated and complex. But I think what I love about the center is that the culture there is to meet people where they're at,
Mhm.
regardless of whether they've come 7 times, 10
Mhm.
times, 20 times. You meet them where they're at and
Mhm.
where they are in their current journey and their current story.
Mhm.
And the multiple complexness of that you spoke to,
Mhm.
the isolation, the financial elements,
Mhm.
children might play a role as well. And then, after years and years of hearing abusive language, people
Mhm.
start to believe
Mhm.
that. So I think that's important. So whoever might be hearing this, you need to understand that you're worthy, you're valued, and we believe you,
Mhm.
right? So we appreciate all that you do. I have a few more
Okay.
questions for you.
Okay.
So in regards to like looking at our community and what it does, what is some things that you're thankful for in regards to our community?
This community is so supportive. If we need anything like toilet paper
Hmm.
or shampoo or diapers, literally can just make a phone call, do a Facebook post, put it on the website, and we get it. I just think we have such a generous community. And our United Way, I'm constantly blown away at the amount that comes in to the United Way. I just think that speaks to our community, the generosity, and that we support each other.
Yeah. And it's important, right? The
Mhm.
aspect of us working, collaborating,
Mhm.
and making sure that those resources are in place. As we go into this year, we know there's
Mhm.
inflation. We know that there's different things happening, but
Mhm.
services are always going to be needed.
Mhm.
We in nonprofit want to work ourselves out
Yes,
of a job, but
exactly.
the reality is that those services, especially at the center, are needed even
Mhm.
more now than ever. So we are thankful for the community that we have. But
Mhm.
I've asked a few other participants in this podcast, but now take back to if you were at a karaoke, what would your go-to karaoke song be?
Oh, man. Okay, this just came to me, even though I feel like I would never sing
Sing it,
karaoke.
but that's what we want.
But it's kind of sticking with with what we're talking about. "I'm Still Standing"
There
by
you
Elton
go.
John.
I'm still
Yes.
standing.
Mhm.
Well, Leah, we appreciate everything that you do for the
Yeah.
community and all that the center does as well. So thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you for what you do.
You're welcome.
Mhm.